In September of 2024, I set out with my friends Ben from the YouTube channel Dork in the Road and Jeff from the channel ADV Agenda to ride the Northern California Backcountry Discovery Route, the newest in the line of BDRs. The trip would span about 2,000 miles or 3,500 kilometers of both on and off-road terrain over 7 days. So grab your favorite snacks, sit back, and enjoy the adventure.
What a good feeling to get out on your motorcycle for a week-long ride, pack all your gear. Man, what a privilege it is to be able to do this. 10 a.m. Day one, just left the house here in Southern California, and I've got the GPS set to, or I should say Google Maps, set to Alabama Hills outside of Lone Pine. I want to do a little filming there on my way. Do some filming through there, fly the drone, and then I want to get to, I have a hotel tonight in Bishop, just on, before you go up into the mountains in the eastern Sierra Nevadas. So about 350 miles today. I've got this set to Alabama Hills, so it's 260. So yeah, it seems like it's going to be a great day. It's 61 degrees right now, beautiful. Couldn't ask for better conditions. I feel like I've got the bike set up pretty well dialed in. I'm pretty happy with the gear loadout and the overall setup of the bike. There'll be a few little tiny things over the next week, I'm sure, that I have to kind of iron out, but overall I feel like I'm fairly dialed in. Of course, it's easy to say that now that I haven't really done the ride yet. I chose riding gear that was comfortable and good in different temperatures. This is touring, so I want to be comfortable and be able to enjoy this entire trip. So yeah, I'm going to get down the road. I've got the cruise control. I'm so happy that I put the Viridian cruise control on the V-Strom. That makes such an amazing difference when you've got to cover a lot of miles. So I love that. And this windshield setup works pretty well. So it's a nice place to be. With the freeways, not really my favorite part of a trip like this, but yeah, see, I'm already going 15 miles an hour over the speed limit, and I still got people driving like that. So, California freeways, what can you do? Just try to stay out of people's way and just chill out. This bike does have a little bit of vibration, like between 5,000 and 6,000 RPM. It's not bad, but it's there. Pretty comfortable though still, honestly. One of the reasons I think I like motorcycle touring so much, and always have, is because it gives my head time to think about everything and also to think about nothing. And sometimes you just need that personal alone time in your helmet to sort things out, and going for a long motorcycle ride I find is a really wonderful way to do that. Continuing north on Highway 395, this is my view for most of the day, this highway. Anybody who's driven from Southern California up to Mammoth Lakes or Lake Tahoe or Reno, you know this route very well. So the geography, we should start talking about the geography on this ride, because I'm a big geography nut. So California is really interesting, right? Because if we start our way on the west, where the Pacific Ocean, and work our way east, the basics, so you've got the coast along the Pacific Ocean, and then you've got the coastal mountain ranges, and then east of that you have the Central Valley, which is known for its agriculture and farming. Then going east from the Central Valley you have the Sierra foothills and then the Sierra Nevada mountains. We are at the very southern terminus right here of the Sierra Nevada mountains. Getting up, so this is like the desert town here of like Ridgecrest, and then we're going to be going through Lone Pine and Big Pine and up to Bishop, just you know, they call it the Eastern Sierras, right? So it's a big mountain range, really a defining feature of the state of California. So the Mojave Desert is behind us to the southeast that way. So we're somewhat leaving the Mojave Desert, and we're going the valley that we're in now. So then one more step east of the Sierra Nevadas is the Owens Valley. So we're going to be riding up through the Owens Valley, and there's a lot of history here with, you know, the Owens River and Los Angeles kind of taking the water. There's all the, you know, the Chinatown movie, if you saw, was about that, and the water wars, and a lot of interesting stuff. They drain, Owens Lake went dry because of that. Now they have a big problem with the dust. So the Owens Valley, then you have more mountains, and then east of those mountains you have Death Valley. There are a couple different valleys that are part of Death Valley over that way. And then you get into the basin and range of Nevada, going further and further east. And Las Vegas is about 200 miles east of here. So that's kind of overview of your geography there. So I'm 75 miles from Lone Pine in the Alabama Hills, where I want to do a little bit of filming and talk a little bit more about the geography and the geology of the Sierra Nevadas.
All right, well, look where I am. So I made it to the Alabama Hills. So in the Owens Valley, just outside of Lone Pine and sort of in the shadow of the Sierra Nevada mountains and Mount Whitney, is this amazing place called the Alabama Hills. And you probably recognize the scenery because so many movies and TV shows have been filmed here over the years. Now it's a popular area for recreation and camping and things like that. So behind me here, somewhere here behind me, is one of these peaks, is Mount Whitney at over 14,000 feet, which I believe is the highest peak in the lower 48 states. And then, you know, of course, to my east, back behind me this way, over this little mountain range here, is actually Death Valley. So super, super interesting place from a geographic or geologic point of view. And man, just look at the sky today. It is just so beautiful. Just so lucky to have this weather. The Sierras are having a very early season winter storm. And by early season, like really early, it's the middle of September, and it is snowing in the mountains right now behind me. There are winter weather advisories and things like that up, which is very, very early in the season for the Sierras to get their first snowfall. So probably by the time we go through the high mountains in a couple days, most of it should be melted. I guess we're going to find out. So we'll be in Mammoth Lakes tomorrow, and I guess we'll see.
This is kind of the back way into the Alabama Hills area, and you have to take this way because I guess the main road got washed out due to a flood or something like that. So to take this narrow road, but what a beautiful little canyon drive coming up Tuttle Creek Road. Really, really phenomenal. So I've been riding for, you know, 5 or 6 hours, I think, and this V-Strom has been great. It's been really a comfortable, nice place to have to put down the miles, actually. I'm really always pleasantly surprised by how good this bike is, especially when you consider that it's not all that expensive. Very narrow road. I just have to get another 50 miles to Bishop, so it looks like I'm going to get into town to my hotel around 6 p.m., which is perfect. That's just what I wanted. The weather is looking a little interesting up ahead. I think the storms are mostly staying up on the mountain crest. You know, the Owens Valley is the deepest valley in North America, so there's a huge difference in the elevation from where I am up to those mountains. But it looks like in the northern end of Owens Valley, it looks like it's raining or something up there, but I guess we'll see if we can make it to Bishop without getting wet. I think I will, but either way, that's okay. I just have to get to the hotel, get a shower, have a nice dinner, get a good night's sleep, and then tomorrow ride Chidago Canyon. I'm kind of doing some of the SoCal BDR on the way, I guess. Yeah, so that's kind of cool. And then meet up with Jeff and Ben tomorrow after lunch in Mammoth. So looking forward to it. What a beautiful day so far. Well, you know how I said I was going to make it to Bishop without getting wet? I'm not so sure about that now. I'm still 22 miles away. Look at the sky. So I will say one of the most beautiful skies I've seen in a long time. Look at all that. It's actually snow at higher elevations. If you see the white coming down from the clouds, kind of looks like marshmallows or something. That's snow. Of course, when it gets down to this elevation, it'll turn into rain. But I've been watching lightning strikes up ahead, so I'm gonna have to be mindful of that. And but wow, what a beautiful, beautiful sky. Also, I don't know if you can see in the video, but there's snow up in the mountains. It looks pretty high, like up around 10,000, 11,000 feet. But yeah, there's a dusting of snow in the Sierras. That is so shocking for the middle of September.
All right, good morning from day 2. So I had a good night in Bishop. So some interesting things about Bishop. The population here is under 4,000 residents, but that actually makes it the only incorporated city and the largest city in this entire Inyo County here in California. So you can tell it's not many people live in Inyo County. Some other things about Bishop, you know, they have the annual Mule Days, which is a big festival where people who have mules come. It's also a gateway for the Sierra Nevadas, right? People come here, stay overnight when they're heading up into the Sierras to do their different recreational activities. Bishop's also a big rock climbing destination, so there's like bouldering and different kinds of rock climbing all around here. So it's really, really popular for that. So my plan today is to go ride some of the Southern California BDR this morning, the Chidago Canyon section, which I've never ridden. And then after that, I need to get into Mammoth Lakes by lunch so that I can meet up with Ben and Jeff and we can start the NorCal route. So let's go.
Beautiful morning. It's in the around 50, 55 degrees Fahrenheit, and there's some fresh snow in the mountains. Nice crisp, I was gonna say fall, but it's actually still summer. So late summer morning. Beautiful morning. Yeah, I think this is the part of Chidago Canyon that I've seen in the videos. Pretty cool little section here, just winding through the cliffs. Really fun. Good trail conditions too. There's some moisture in the dirt, so it's not really dusty or anything. Pretty cool spot. So I think I'll maybe get up to the top and then maybe fly the drone a little bit to kind of show you guys. Oh, this is really neat. Really, really neat. It's early in the morning, so we're getting a lot of shadows and stuff here in the canyon. Wow, I'm so glad I came this way. This is super cool. I hope that's not it. That's not the whole thing, but I don't know.
It is so quiet here. There's no sound of anything. It's so peaceful. And the mountains, you know, the eastern Sierras here in the distance. What an incredible view. Sometimes it just reminds me of, you know, why I do this stuff. Found a few patches of snow here, and there's some more like up in the shade back there. So it snowed yesterday or last night, I think, but conditions are pretty good now. What a beautiful view. It is so peaceful here. There's just nobody, and I mean, talk about solitude. So don't tell Jeff and Ben that I said this, but I actually prefer riding alone just because I feel like it gives me the mental space to like just, I don't know, have my own space. Plus, you don't have the constraints of other people wanting to go here or there, take this route or that route, or having to stop for different things, or they don't want to stop and take pictures or whatever it is. Just the freedom of being by yourself and feeling that connection with the nature around you. I personally, all my best rides have been by myself, especially adventure trips like this. Now don't get me wrong, I love riding with my friends. It's so much fun, and the camaraderie of it, the social aspect is amazing. I like that too, and it's going to be a great time, but I'm enjoying yesterday and today being by myself a little bit, honestly.
The crew showed up. We got Ben and we got Jeff. I think those are their names. I don't know really. I guess one of them's like a YouTuber guy.
Mine is Nunchuck.
Nunchuck.
Yeah, that's my name.
We're trying to think of like funny names for the radios because we're on these ham radios, so we got to come up with that. I think I'm gonna be like Skyhawk or like
Mine's
Road
Gammy
Dog
Noob.
or Eagle Rider or something.
Eagle
So,
Rider.
yeah. Anyway, but yeah, we're going to leave Mammoth now and go head up to Minaret Vista so we can start this route.
Yeah.
Ben is now officially Moscow motored out from head to toe. Mr. Giant Loop over here. So you got Moscow Reckless.
Just test.
You've got a tank bag. You've got the whole suit. I know we've got Mr. Jeff here, showy helmet,
my
good
Tourmaster
Tour
gloves.
Master gear. See, Jeff is budget friendly, unlike us. You know,
So
so
Alpine Stars jacket's not too bad.
Jeff's got the X-Cape Moto Morini
That thing's way too good.
versus 650. Sorry, and then Ben's got. If you need any camshafts, let me know.
Yeah. Did you bring a couple extras?
Yeah, I did.
It's not
Yeah.
fuel pumps for these camshafts now.
If y'all need to be towed by the V-Strom, I have tow rope. So.
You got enough luggage to.
Yeah. All right, well, we are at the official starting point of the Northern California BDR. Sorry for the wind noise and a microphone. Minaret Vista is behind me, so we are in the Eastern Sierras, just near Mammoth Lakes, California. One of my favorite spots in the world. This part of the Eastern Sierra is incredibly beautiful, just stunningly beautiful. I think the range behind me, they call it the Minarets. I think it might be part of the Ritter range, but I don't know for sure. But you're looking at peaks that are 12, 13,000 plus feet. We're already at an altitude here of somewhere around 9 or 10,000 feet here at Minaret Vista. So yeah, we met up. We're all going to start the route now, and we're super excited. Ben, you may know him as Dork in the Road. You know, you may have heard of him, just a little YouTube channel
I'd
there.
be surprised if you had.
So Ben's on his 790 Adventure, which is looking pretty sharp, I must say. The black and orange and the orange bags.
Let's mess it up.
Pretty nice bike. He's got a lot of cool parts on there, which we can look at later. And then Jeff is testing out the Moto Morini X-Cape, and he's all kitted out with Tour Master stuff. So how you feeling, Jeff, to start the ride?
Awesome, man. I just can't wait to get this thing on the trail.
So Jeff drove up this morning, like super early, like 4 a.m.
Mm-hmm.
And then you drove up, and now you're on the bike. So
Yep.
you've already had a long day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I almost fell asleep twice.
Oh, in the truck? Oh, that's good. Yeah, don't do that.
Yeah, save it for the trail.
Right.
So we've got Skyhawk, Nunchuck, and Monkey Wrench. Couldn't you guys pick easier names to remember?
I'm numb.
Can we go now? Is it dinner time? I'm hungry. I'm tired. Here we go on the Northern California BDR. It'd be really embarrassing if I crashed like in the first mile, wouldn't it? No, I gotta say, this V-Strom is super solid. Like, it's an honest bike. Like, it's not super complicated or fancy, but it has the stuff you want, and it's comfortable, and it's stable and easy to ride and smooth, and I don't know, I'm a huge fan of this bike, actually. All right, first official dirt, first dirt of the BDR. Phew. Beautiful day to be starting this route. Temperature is around 60 degrees. Man, what a nice weather, beautiful clouds, a couple great friends to ride with. I'm so blessed, so fortunate, and just really happy to be here. What a privilege, you know, to be able to do stuff like this. It truly is. So we're gonna just ride the route today and get as far as we reasonably can and see where we end up, and probably camp tonight somewhere. But I'm trying to tell them I want to have a shower, so I want to camp with like a campground or something with a shower if we can, but if not, no big deal. Wasn't really sweating today because it hasn't been that hot. So section 1 out of Mammoth Lakes, you kind of go through this area by Inyo craters, and you know the trail is there's some whoops in it, like right here, but you can't go too fast, especially not on this bike because it bottoms out in every single whoop. But there's a little bit of soft sand, not deep sand, but there's enough soft sand here to keep you occupied, to keep control. But you know, pretty easy route so far. Kind of fun, you know, through the trees. So having a good time. We're on Bald Mountain Road, left Highway 395 after being on there for a minute. We're headed towards, I guess, the Mono Mills area, and then kind of, I think it takes us over kind of by those mountains, and then kind of working our way towards Mono Lake. And then we'll get over there and then get up to Bodie after Mono Lake, and then into Bridgeport, and we'll kind of see if that's, you know, where we end the day. So I don't know, but you know, these just gravel roads with some washboard, pretty good, you know, just gentle, good big bike friendly terrain. So I think we're all enjoying that quite whoa, as I say that, I hit sand. So you know, the terrain's always, ooh, that was loose. The terrain's always changing, so got to be on your toes. Just when you let your guard down, you hit a patch of sand or there's a big washout or something, you know. That's why off-road riding is so much more tiring than just highway riding, because you can't, you know, you just can't relax at all, you know. So when you pop out on the highway, you're going to be greeted with the beautiful sight of Mono Lake kind of below you in the bottom of this valley. We're going to go ride kind of near the shore of Mono Lake, and we'll fly the drone, talk a little bit more about it, but it's really dramatic. I know the helmet cam doesn't show up, but when you pop out onto the highway from the dirt there, you just get this magnificent view of Mono Lake. It's really, and today is a particularly pretty day. So yeah, really beautiful. You know, the pavement sections that we've seen so far have been really beautiful and scenic and enjoyable, in my opinion. So I think it's actually nice to have some pavement mixed into the route, but that's just my opinion.
Get out of your way.
No, you're good. It's better with you in the shot, actually.
Okay.
How we doing, Jeff?
Man, this is amazing today. The weather's beautiful. No one out here. We got the whole place to ourselves.
Yeah, and look, now we popped out to Mono Lake, so it's really pretty. Really beautiful.
Speaking of beautiful,
Did you say beautiful?
there's Ian.
Did you say beautiful?
I did.
Okay. I won't tell Maggie you called me that, but...
I'll tell her. Let's make her jealous.
So how you liking the ride so far, Mr. Ben?
Sandier than I expected, but it's going fast. It's beautiful out here. I think this route has so much scenery built into it. I'm excited to see it all. Never been this close to Mono Lake. I've only ever seen it from the highway.
Yeah, we're going to go down to it now, so...
Super.
We'll find a place to fly the drone, so...
Yeah, we'll check out the Toofus.
Yeah, Toofus.
Toofus.
Now, is there a stereo lake over here, or is this mono?
Well, good one. That's a good dad joke.
Make sure you don't miss stopping at historic and beautiful Mono Lake in the eastern Sierra Nevadas. Very special here are the spectacular tufa towers, which are calcium carbonate spires and knobs formed by interaction of freshwater springs and alkaline lake water. Mono Lake is a body of water covering about 65 square miles. It's about 1 million years old and one of the oldest lakes in North America. This lake has no outlet, meaning that all water that flows into it either evaporates or stays there. Freshwater evaporating from the lake each year has left the salts and minerals behind, so that the lake is now about 2.5 times as salty as the ocean and very alkaline.
Cruising. I like these gravel roads. I can see their headlights way back there in the mirror. I try to speed up a little bit to get some space so they don't have so much dust. I'm kind of navigating the ride so far, so the nice thing is I don't have the dust in the front. I don't have goggles with me, so it's kind of good that I'm in the front. And I like kind of doing the navigation. I enjoy that. So this Carpet Ride tablet's pretty good. I have been having some intermittent issues with Gaia, like shutting down. But what Jeff told me, because he uses one of these too, is that you have to keep your phone plugged in, or else sometimes, like to the power, or sometimes it'll just disconnect for some reason, because it's Android Auto. I did download all the maps for the entire route into Gaia, so I don't need cell phone service to have my navigation. So you got to make sure you do that. But I do like using Gaia. The map is really good. And then I've got Android Auto here, so I can do my phone calls or messages or Facebook messages or music or apps and things. So I do like this tablet. I just got to see if it's going to kind of be reliable. But this trip is kind of a good test of that.
Another place you really don't want to miss while riding Section 1 of the Northern California BDR is the ghost town of Bodie. About 75 miles southeast of Lake Tahoe and 12 miles east-southeast of Bridgeport, and an elevation of almost 8,500 feet, Bodie became a boom town in 1876 after the discovery of a very profitable vein of gold. Later, by 1879, it had established 2,000 structures with a population of roughly 8,000 people. The town eventually went into decline decades later and came to be described as a ghost town by 1915. The U.S. Department of the Interior designated Bodie Historic District as a National Historic Landmark. Bodie is also a California Historical Landmark and receives about 200,000 visitors per year.
Right, so as we take a little stroll through downtown Bodie. So Bodie is one of these boom towns that came up. It was all about money, right? It was all about getting gold out of the ground, and then these towns would spring up almost out of nowhere. This town is incredibly well preserved because, largely in part due to the dry kind of mountain weather here they have, so it helps preserve it. 1876 is when this town was they started to build it, so they discovered gold around that time, and then there's over 2,000 structures here. Well, used to be, not anymore, and 8,000 people used to live here. Can you believe 8,000 people lived in a town like this? That's pretty crazy. Of course, as the gold started to kind of dwindle in terms of the mines, and the economy changed and the country changed, then towns like this would kind of close up and people would start to go home and things would kind of fall into repair, or disrepair. These were never meant to be a long-term, kind of towns. We're at high elevation here, about 8,400 feet above sea level. You don't really know it because you kind of see the sagebrush and the scrub brush, but yeah, very high elevation, and that helps preserve the old buildings. It's just kind of a fun 2-track with some embedded rocks, and kind of fun to kind of weave your way through. It's good surface and beautiful, just kind of open sagebrush, high elevation area. Cows, moo, lots of cows. Very desolate, and a lot of good solitude out here. I think we'll probably end up staying in Bridgeport because we're about, I don't know how far we are from Bridgeport, maybe an hour at most. So it's already 4:30, so we should probably think about camp when we get to Bridgeport. I'll just ride right behind you on your tail. Oh, scared the cows. So we're near Masonic Mountain on section 1. We're probably about, I don't know, half an hour from dropping into Bridgeport. It is so desolate, so beautiful out here. You know, so much of the USA is actually like this, but you just don't realize it because you never get to these areas.
Lodging options on the route can be somewhat limited. Here we're setting up our tents at an RV park just outside the city limits of Bridgeport, California, at the end of section 1. After we had some dinner in town, some burritos and sandwiches, we set up our tents, and I'll have you note that I was the first to get my tent set up. We stayed at this RV park because 1, there weren't really any other campgrounds in the area, but 2, they had hot showers, and that was something that we were looking forward to after riding all day. This RV park did not end up being very good, and it was very noisy with noisy neighbors all night and a noisy highway nearby, making for a pretty rough night of sleep.
5 and you're like, do anything.
Okay, guys, I have the thing that's going to make the whole trip right now. I know you've never seen anything like. I have goat milk hand cream. If you need some moisturizing, Jeff, I know you want it.
I want it.
I know he,
not
Jeff.
Yeah.
Goat milk hand cream. Come on, get some of that. Don't use too much now, because you know I gotta conserve.
Thanks.
All jokes aside, this lotion is fantastic.
Wow,
found it at Costco.
It smells good too.
You sure you don't?
I'm good for now.
Ben doesn't want the goat milk.
I don't want to waste it all. I don't have that much. It's a long trip, dude.
I think I have another thing of lotion in there. So how did the 790 feel today?
Great. I would say the front is like stiffer than I expected, which is I'd rather have it be too stiff. But I haven't bottomed it, but it's definitely like very jarring when you hit things at speed.
Yeah.
And I think the worst part is with all the weight on the back, the front is just really light and pushy. I honestly might I might crank the preload up even more. It's just, that's the one thing that's driving me nuts.
Yep, me too, my preloads.
Because I'm like, I want to lean into the corners, but the front starts to, I just don't like it.
It's because of the luggage on the back, right?
Yeah,
Change
so
the balance.
Yep.
Yeah.
Well, and it's squatted down, right? So there's less weight on the front. It's hard to keep traction on the front on the loose stuff. But
Yeah.
it was great once we got out of the sandy pea gravel stuff and got up into the rocky embedded rock stuff was great. It just was a little jarring on the front, but whatever.
How's the Moto Morini, Mr. Jeff?
It was really good. I just need to do a few tweaks on the preload and the compression on the front and the rear. I need to just click a couple.
Adjustable suspension?
Yeah, full.
Yeah, it has full adjustable.
That is
Yeah,
nice.
that's pretty cool.
Yeah.
I don't have that.
But other than that, keep the RPMs up and you can do anything.
So Jeff's
he's gonna do anything.
got all this cool. I just copy whatever Jeff has usually. So I've got the same pot, the same radio, the same battery thing, the same
battery bank.
cardo, the same cup. I just copy him because he does all this research. Whatever this is, it's not a cup. Oh, that's a lamp apparently. And then so I've got a REI tent. Ben has like $1,000 Big Agnes tent. I don't know what it. He already put a hole in it. And then what tent is this? Jeff has the budget set up. Altad. So there you go. Altad. That's what you need right there.
And that thing has been on like 8 BDRs.
8?
8.
BDR's done.
8. This would be the 8.
Look at this sunset. That's pretty cool.
I do mini ones. I don't do like full.
Oh, so it doesn't count.
Turnabout is fair play. Yeah. Did you grow a whole beard since yesterday?
I don't know. There's no mirrors in my tent. My house.
You should bring more stuff.
I should.
I'm enjoying actual good camping coffee because I got this pour over setup from Wakako. I always think of Ace Ventura. Wachaka! What does he say? Chicago. That's
Chicago.
it. Chicago, you're out of there. Honestly, I thought I was.
Wait, what? You didn't sleep well?
No. I thought I was gonna have to sleep in my puffy because it got
Camping.
cold, and then I was in there and I
Who
took
goes
off and
camping?
I was fine, and I woke up, so I just assumed it wasn't that cold.
Well, good morning. Day 2 of the Northern California BDR. We stayed in Bridgeport last night at the Marina RV Park, and it was, the good thing was they had a shower and water and things like that, and we were able to go to town to get dinner. But the bad thing was it was incredibly noisy with RV generators, campers staying up till midnight yelling, and the highway about 2 feet from our tent. So there's that, but you know what? It's fine. We're still happy to be able to do this. And so today it's about 9 a.m. So we got out of camp pretty good before 9. We got to take some highway to get out of, to get around the 395 bypass, because there's a section of Highway 395 that's actually closed. And we'll go over towards Topaz Lake and then take Monitor Pass up from Markley, up from there. And then I think we're going to go up to Ebbets Pass, turn around, and then go through Markleyville, because there's also a small section of section 2 or 3 that's closed due to a fire, I believe, or some sort of forest closure. So we got to skirt around that, and then I'm hoping that today we can get all the way to Truckee, which is that's a lot of ground to cover, but I think we might be able to do that just because of all the highway this morning. So we'll see how we go, but everybody's feeling good, doing well. I don't think Ben and I slept that better. I don't think we slept that well, either of us. Jeff sleeps really well in his tent, so I need to get a different sleeping pad and sleep system. I learned that after looking at what they had. So anyway, beautiful day to be out on the bike, so we'll check back in later. Going over Monitor Pass, which is Highway 89. This will connect to Highway 4, which goes over Ebbets Pass, but it looks like the group has decided instead of going over there and having to take the bypass all the way to the west because part of the trail is closed, we'll just go over through Markleyville, take Highway 88, and then reconnect to the route where it's, I think we'll be on section 3 at Bear Valley Reservoir, I think it is. So that's a more scenic route that keeps us in the mountains as opposed to going down into the western Sierra foothills down that way, because we can't do that first part of section 3, it's closed. So that seems like a good compromise. We're going to do that, and we get to enjoy some really nice pavement twisties here on Monitor Pass. And you know, that's why I like riding an adventure bike, because you can enjoy the paved sections as well as the off-road sections. If you're on a dual sport bike, yeah, you're probably going to have a little more fun in the off-road part, but then you're going to, you know, it's going to suck when you have to do pavement for 100 miles. So I like adventure bikes. Just seems better for me for traveling, you know. Ha 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 ha! You! stunning area here. So I don't recall that I've ever taken Highway 88. We're on Highway 88 now to reconnect to the official route out near Bear Valley Reservoir. Wow, what these beautiful rock formations, and this river canyon here. Wow, what a beautiful route. So we're going to be going over Carson Pass, and I don't think I've ever gone this way. I've been through most of the Sierra passes before, and I love riding in the Sierra Nevadas, but I don't recall being on this highway, so I'm super happy we're able to do this. What a stunning view. The helmet camera just doesn't do it justice, but it's absolutely stunning here. We're really getting lucky with the weather too. It's like 65 degrees. For me, that's just about perfect for riding. You know, just a perfect temperature. All right, Carson Pass on Highway 88. If you're riding through the Sierras, I highly recommend doing this pass if you can. It's very beautiful. Not too much traffic, not too many people. We're going to go through this, I think it's a ski, like a ski area of Kirkwood here in a few miles. Kind of looking for a place to have some lunch. It's almost 12 o'clock. But what a beautiful road ride here through Carson Pass. Big granite boulders. It's not super high elevation. I think you're around 9,000 feet here at the summit. But highly recommend it if you're in the Sierras, if you have time to ride Highway 88. And I'm pretty sure I've never been on this road before.
Tell us what's your name and where you're from and where you're going.
Mike from Reno, Nevada, and I'm just down here. I'm going up over Monitor, so doing some of the road BDR, just like so the pavement up and over Monitor, and then probably actually down to Sonora Pass. So yeah, just staying on the.
And you're riding that beautiful Tiger over there.
Yeah, I love it. Like I said, I just did the 12,000 mile service. Well, paid to have it done, which sucked, but
Yeah, that sucks, right?
yeah, but no, I love it. I couldn't be happier with it. It's great.
That's awesome. Yeah, it's a great bike. Yeah. Right, we had lunch at Kit Carson Lodge and Silver Lake. If you're riding the BDR, this is just a few miles off the route. Look for Silver Lake and in Kit Carson Lodge. The restaurant has some limited hours, but the food was like off the chart, like really good. Except the coffee was, well, we can talk about the coffee later, but it was interesting. But we're gonna get back on the route now. I actually rejoin the route and head north.
So we're riding actually across the dam. Highway 88 goes across the dam. This is Caples Lake. Wow, what a beautiful high mountain lake. Really stunning. I definitely have never been here before. Mountains in the background, probably great fishing here. What a quiet, kind of out of the way, beautiful spot. Just about a mile from rejoining the official route here on section 3, we're riding the historic Emigrant Trail. Is this little section of road we're on. I guess we're all going to be on this for a little while, and since I really have no idea what I'm talking about, I have it in my notes, but I don't remember what my notes say, so let's go ahead and do a little voiceover.
The Mormon Emigrant Trail is significant in this area of the Sierra Nevada because it was one of the first east-west wagon trails in the 19th century. And in this part of the Sierra Nevada, it was created by Mormons who were moving back and forth between Utah and the gold fields in California. And after they established this trail and all the little settlements and stops along this area, it was used by thousands and thousands of wagon trains in this period, people going to the gold mines, people moving to California, and so on.
All right, we made it up to the Leak Springs Fire Lookout Tower on section 3. Pretty cool, just like a couple mile detour off the route, but it is marked on the route as a lookout point, so it's pretty cool. You know, fire lookout towers have historically and still are used for fire detection. Of course, they're not as widely used nowadays because of so many people and cell phones and airplanes spotting fires, but fire lookouts are still used. A lot of the Forest Service will staff them with volunteers instead of paid staff, so it's a big volunteer program that the Forest Service does for the fire lookout. So you can see the lookout here behind me, and really cool. So sometimes you can go up and you can look at the Osborne fire spotters. They have this map thing where they can, like, if they see a smoke, you know, that caused by like a lightning strike, they can try to tell the dispatch office like the distance and the bearing of the smoke, and then they can call it in. So it is still important in these large expanses of forest area where maybe there's not a lot of people.
So we are riding through a lot of burned areas. And I think this is maybe a good time in the film to talk about, the role of forest fire in the American West, and how sort of the perception of that has been going in the media nowadays. And there's a lot of interesting facets of this, which I think we should at least talk about a little bit as we do some riding here, kind of through one of these burned out forests, which people think is like devastation, but in fact, devastation would really not be the correct way to characterize this.
All right, a few things we should probably discuss. One, are fires natural? Two, are fires getting larger as the media keeps saying? And three, why do fires lately seem to be more destructive? So first off, the media lately has done a very poor job of reporting on wildfires and forest fires, often making it much more sensational than it needs to be. The fact is that fires have always been a part of the landscape in California and across the United States. Large wildfires are nothing new. Now, there is a question, are human-caused fires natural? Are humans part of the natural environment? Well, that's a deeper philosophical question which we probably don't have time to get into. Now, the news tells us that some recent large wildfires are unprecedented. Unfortunately for the media, this is not the case, and in fact, the overall acres burned per year on average has dramatically decreased in the 20th and 21st century versus the 18th and 19th centuries. The large fires that used to sweep across the forests helped maintain nature's balance and prevented the overgrowth of the grasses, shrubs, and trees that we see today. Now, thirdly, are fires getting more destructive as of late? Yes, this does seem to be the case, and we have seen some particularly damaging fires in the past 10 to 20 years. Fires like the Dixie Fire, the Caldor Fire, the Park Fire, the Camp Fire, the Thomas Fire, the Carr Fire, the Tubbs Fire, and I could go on. These fires have burned tens of thousands of homes recently and hundreds of thousands, if not millions of acres combined. So there are several factors that seem to be making recent wildfires more destructive. First, it's an overgrowth of the trees, brush, and grass due to human fire exclusion, meaning that we have been putting out the beneficial moderate to low intensity wildfires. Second, increasing population in the WUI or WUI wildland urban interface. These are areas where homes are built into the forest and the brushlands. We call that the WUI or the wildland urban interface. We've been seeing more homes built in these areas. And the third factor, I think, is the aging electrical infrastructure. This is things like power lines and transformers, which have been failing much more lately because the utilities have not been doing their job of maintaining and improving this infrastructure. These failures have been causing an increase in wildfires.
Riding on this 2-track road through the forest here, it's kind of a good time to talk about one of the things I love about the V-Strom. It's not a perfect bike for sure. There's some downsides to it, which we've talked about. But overall, I love this bike. And one of the reasons I love this bike for this kind of riding is because the steering geometry, the way they set up the chassis and the fork rake angle is super slack. So it's really just easy to ride. It wants to go straight. So we had a bunch of really rocky, loose hills and ruts and stuff that I didn't get on camera because I was working and not able to turn the camera on. But man, this thing just wants to track straight, and it's so stable and forgiving. It doesn't take any work to really ride it, and I really appreciate that about it. This is the exact kind of bike I want to take on an expedition because, number one, it's a V-Strom. They never break down. They're so overbuilt. Like, the engine is overbuilt, the frame is overbuilt, everything is super sturdy and just made for longevity. That's why it's a little bit heavier. Also, the friendly nature of it doesn't have maybe the sharpest handling, but what you get is just an incredible sense of going straight and plowing through the rough terrain, even sitting down and just relaxing and going through it. So I really, really appreciate this bike. This is exactly the kind of motorcycle that I want to take on long distance expeditions. It just has the right combination of characteristics. It's funny, like, I've done a lot of this kind of riding on like my KTM 890s and those bikes like that, And while you can technically ride those bikes a little bit faster because, you know, they have better suspension and whatever, and maybe a little bit lighter, I get more tired at the end of the day riding those bikes because I have to be careful about, you know, hitting a rock at the wrong angle and the front end deflecting, or, you know, whatever it is. Whereas this bike, you can sort of just go at a moderate speed and just plow straight ahead through everything like a bulldozer. And I love that about the V-Strom. And I also love the fact that it's quiet. It is so quiet and smooth, and that really helps reduce fatigue after a long day of riding. Okay, so we got gas in the little town of Kybers. We missed section 3 in Kybers, got gas. We also decided to get some extra water and snacks and things like that in case we end up backcountry camping tonight, or camp before we complete section 4. So we just started section 4 outside of Kybers, headed towards the general direction of Truckee. So we're not sure how far we're going to get or where we're going to end up staying. So we're prepared in case we do need to spend the night in the backcountry. So extra water and supplies and what have you. So yeah, but everything's going great. We're having a great day. Everybody's riding well. The trip is going just very smoothly so far, and we're making very good progress along this route. All of our bikes seem to be performing really well. We're all pretty experienced at doing this, so we kind of had things dialed in. Although it should be said that I'm not riding one of my own bikes, and Jeff is also not riding his own bike, so I think we're doing pretty well considering we're actually riding press bikes that we've set up a little bit with a few modifications, of course. Just, yeah. Yeah. All right, short paved section, I think, on Ice House Road. I'm happy to see a little pavement, honestly. I enjoy pave riding, if you can't already tell. Get some airflow going through the jacket, cool down, have a little fun. It's nice to have actual traction other than just riding on loose marbles, you know. So we're riding through this area that's, I guess a lot of it's called the Crystal Basin. And now we're descending down this road to the Rubicon River. And I've definitely never been in this area with the Rubicon River on this road. So we're on, I guess this road just has a number, so I don't know what the road's actually called. But yeah, that's the Rubicon River Valley or drainage down here. And I think it's a pretty significant river. I'm familiar with like the Rubicon Trail outside of Lake Tahoe. So Lake Tahoe is like east of us, I don't know how far. And we're probably about an hour and a half or 2 hours from getting into Truckee on Freeway 80. So it is about 4:30. So we're just gonna keep riding for maybe another hour or so and kind of see. There's some campgrounds up here that we've been looking at, so we might do that if they're nice. If they're not nice, or we just don't feel, or they're full, which I kind of doubt, but I don't know, then we do have the option to get into Truckee well before dark and just get a hotel room. I want a hotel room, but the guys, they like to camp. Ben says he could use a shower. Jeff is like a camping freak, so he just loves to camp all the time, so we'll see. But either way, it's actually been a really great day. Pretty, no drama. I took a huge bee like in my mouth. I was able to spit it out before it stung me. I had my visor open. So ride with your visor closed is good advice. I had a bee in my helmet. Really? A bee, yeah. Well, what I was trying to say was we're about halfway through section 4, a pretty remote, desolate area here. The road kind of turned from a pretty decent gravel road to kind of a rocky 2-track. Nothing difficult, but definitely slows us down into second gear. But got a beautiful big river canyon below us. Just tons of wilderness, seems like all around us. So it definitely has a pretty rugged and desolate feeling. We're definitely getting that 5 o'clock feeling. It's 5:15, so it'd be nice to stop riding in the next, hour or so if we can. But smooth sailing still. You just have to slow down for all the rocks You don't want to have any mechanical issues. You know, just remember that this same bike has to finish the ride and get you all the way home. So you got to be nice to it and don't race the bike. It's not a competition, so just take your time. Don't take risks, you know, when you're traveling. That's my opinion anyway.
When you're camping, make sure to bring a blow dryer. Ah, much better. Gotta blow dry that hair. No, this is actually the little pump that inflates my air mattress pad. It's really nice instead of having to blow it up. It's called Flex Tail Gear. Jeff, this was a Jeff thing, of course. He figured this out. So we're at Big Meadow Campground. And let me flip this around so you can see what's happening. So there's the Ben man over there. There's the Jeff man over there. I'm tenting on the asphalt so I don't have to sleep on rocks again. Big Meadow Campground near... What's the lake called? I don't know. Hellhole. We're near Hellhole Lake. We're near Hellhole Lake, and this campground's actually really peaceful. We had a good day. We're about 2/3. We're about 2/3 through section 4. And yeah, we're doing great. So kind of did like the sponge bath, kind of wash they have running water here, which is great because you can wash your feet, wash your head, use some shampoo, get cleaned up pretty good. Seems warmer and drier here than last night, so that's going to be nice. All of our gear this morning was like super wet when we packed it because of all of the dew from it was like freezing last night. So everything's tents were wet, you know, all the gear just got wet and kind of dirty. So it's kind of nice to get that dried out, and hopefully I'll sleep better tonight. Usually it's the first night in the tent where my body just can't seem to get the rhythm of it, but maybe tonight will be better, so we'll find out. So I was going to blow up my air mattress, and it's torn here. I don't have seriously no idea how this happened, but it's torn at the corner. You can see right inside of it, so...
That is a suck fest, bro.
Yeah, so I guess camping's great. I love camping, Ben.
This is going to be your excuse to hotel.
This is going to be... Oh, look, it's broken. We're going to have to... Where's the Ritz? I told you I told you the Ritz Carlton. Pack it up.
Yeah, good luck.
Pack it up. I'm going.
There in the morning.
I'll see you in Tahoe.
Yeah.
Well, we got to try to figure out if we can patch this. This kind of sucks, but that's life when you go do this stuff. Shit happens.
Dirt roads with an optional rocky climb up Verde Peak now.
All right. So where's the Ritz Carlton again? Over here.
I think it's in LA, dude. Maybe Sacramento.
No, they have one over here. I found it. That's the $1,100 one. So what are we looking at tomorrow?
It was in Truckee.
They're under construction.
So we're going to finish section 4, and then we're going to ride this thing out of Truckee over here.
It's a lot of dirt.
Okay.
Oh, it's Sierraville's along
and
the
then
way,
why does it go all the way over here? Why can't we just go right through there? Like. As I sip my first coffee of the morning, the air mattress patch that we did, Jeff had an actual patch, and then I used some Gorilla Tape, but right away when I put pressure on the sleeping pad, it just started to leak out, and I got about 5 minutes before it was just flat as a pancake. So I had a very enjoyable night sleeping on the asphalt. But you know, hey, I'd rather have this problem than have somebody have an accident, or honestly, this is probably better than even fixing a flat tire, you know, in the middle of nowhere. So all things considered, not too big of a deal. And I actually slept better last night on the hard ground than I did the night before at that RV park. So things could be worse. And it's a beautiful place to camp here at Big Meadow Campground. Super peaceful. No bears. There's no bears, right, Jeff?
No bears.
No bears. Yeah, no bears. Except the sound of Ben snoring, which is very similar sounding to a bear.
That's what you signed up for, dude, when you agreed to come on this trip with me.
It's very similar to the sound of a grizzly bear, but, you know, it's all right. So I'm going to finish my coffee, and we'll check in with you later. March of death for my Nemo Tensor sleeping pad. Well, good to know you. How is it packing the the rackless bags? Well, you're experienced with this, but
Not this style. It's different actually.
it is.
Because you gotta.
But would you say that they're a lot more difficult to pack than like a traditional pannier, just because of the shape of
In
them?
a pannier, yes, for sure. You gotta be deliberate and plan and understand that the bottom needs to be narrow so that you can shove it all the way to the bottom of the pocket.
Do you think the advantages of the less weight and not having racks is worth it on a bike like this?
Yeah, if you want to keep it like light and lean. My idea with this bike was I'm not going to put pannier racks or a bunch of crash bars. I want to keep it as light as I can. And so a luggage setup like this or the Giant Loop stuff is a good part of that. I do like the Moscow because you can adjust the angle. So
Yeah, it has adjustable legs.
yeah, but I don't like that you have to assemble the damn thing when you get it. It takes a while.
Yes, that's true. You have to put all this together.
But once it's together, it's like whatever.
So it sounds like you're pretty happy with it. How do you like the Gnome tank bag?
I like it on the big bikes a lot.
Yeah.
'Cause it doesn't get in my way at all.
This is nice, yeah.
But on my dual sport, I found it was in my way standing up, just because of the angle of the tank.
It looks like it's really out of the way on this.
Yeah, for sure.
No, that's cool.
So I'm not running the bladder in there because I ended up having to wear a backpack anyway to put my walkie in it. But
Yeah.
that was my original plan, was to not wear a backpack and just run that.
So Ben's got a lot of cool stuff on this bike. You know, he's got like, instead of the left mirror on the double take mount, he's got his Insta, is it an X4?
Yeah.
Yeah, so he's got that. He's got a Garmin Zumo XT2, I guess. So that's good. I would go with that versus my carp ride if I was doing this again, just for reliability reasons. And he's got one of my famous Puig
Yeah. that was
windshield
100%
extenders
you.
that,
You can all get it.
that everybody's buying now because I said how good they are.
Makes a big
So,
difference.
yeah.
And yesterday I did your thing where I flipped it up so it would direct airflow at me. It made a massive
Oh
difference.
yeah, you can shoot air at your head.
Yeah,
yeah.
it was great.
And then he's all cyclopsed out here with the Explorer mini light bars. I love these. I had these on my 892.
Yeah, they're so like unobtrusive.
Yeah, they're great. And then he's got the tough light blinkers, which are fantastic, and they're running lights. So you've got a pretty cool setup here on the 790.
I'm pretty happy with
You
it.
got a lot of Vanash Motorsport stuff on it.
This stuff is the best.
The Tusk 2-track tires, which I'm a huge fan of these myself. So
you
that's
both,
really
buddy.
cool. They don't make one for the V-Strom because it's a 17-inch.
They
But
should've done that.
eventually they will. And then Jeff over here, Jeff's got Mitas. What are these? Enduro Trail XT?
Yes.
Okay, so Enduro Trail XT. Are these the Plus or just the
Plus.
the Plus? Okay. So certainly makes this bike look pretty legit.
That worked out really well, Ian, because I was filming too, so now I don't have to film my thoughts on it.
Okay. Well, yeah, so he's got, I mean, the bike is, because Jeff picked this up as a press bike, so it's mostly stock. Like, these handguards seem a little suspect to me, but
Hey, they help in the brush.
they help with the brush. They're more of a brush guard.
And I'm really
Right.
surprised how the mirrors have done really good. I mean, they kick out of the way like that.
Yeah, okay.
That's pretty good.
Overall,
They're brilliant.
overall, you've been riding this for 2 or 3 days now. What do you think about it?
I'm really impressed that anybody can go out and get a bike and travel on this thing on a budget. I would get this over a KLR any day because the freeway manners,
Yeah.
handling, it handles more like a street bike in the street, and it handles like a dirt bike in the dirt.
Yeah,
I'm
it's
really
really
happy
good
with
for
it.
the money.
Yeah.
Yeah, we were just looking at this situation with the skid plate, with the exhaust sticking out below it. Like that's asking for it for sure, but so far you've been okay.
It's not
I mean,
if, it's when.
it's when. Yeah.
Yeah, and I've been really good about, avoiding certain spots, but I think that it needs a full skid plate.
Yeah, because it's a Versa 650 motor, it's just the way that this is the exhaust works. It's got to go under like that. And then it's got an exhaust like back there.
And it's the same clearance as a Transalp.
So yeah, he's saying it's similar to a Transalp. So I guess it looks about similar. Yeah.
But the suspension is a lot better.
Yeah, this has fully adjustable closed cartridge forks from Marzocchi. I don't know how to say it
Marzocchi.
right.
And
then tell us about the luggage you're using.
this is budget. It's very similar to the Moscow and the Tusk Highland.
Okay.
And it's
So
it's
these are called Viking, right?
Viking bags. They have the slide-in holster system with Molly up here. Got your slide-in down here for your tool rolls and all that, and the beaver tails.
Yeah, that's super. We all have beaver tails in our bags, and we can strap like
extra food or a wet jacket or wet tent or you know, whatever it is, like we're all using our beaver tail stuff. You've got my favorite tank bag, the Tusk Olympus.
That's a good go-to bag.
Yeah. How does the windshield work for you?
It's phenomenal. It's adjustable.
It works pretty. It is adjustable. That's right.
And I've had it in the low setting the whole trip, and it's perfect. It comes up to about here.
Okay.
So it goes up about another 1.5 inches.
Now you don't have cruise control. You do have ABS, which you can turn off.
Yes.
Okay. You've got a GPS mount, phone mount. All right.
Yeah, just the basic stuff you need.
But the kickstand is a little bit short.
Yeah, with the more aggressive tires, it seems to put it out of range.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. The kickstand is a little bit short, so the bike leans over a lot. The only crash we had, you crashed into a gas pump.
Yeah, it fell on me.
He was pinned between the bike and the gas pump, so
it was pretty cool.
that was pretty hilarious for us.
You guys were there. If I was by myself.
Yeah. So we met up with our friend Kenneth here to ride.
I'm not a friend.
You won't even believe this. You can't make this up. He rolls up. He's got his panniers on, right? And he's like, we were telling him about my sleeping pad that's in the trash now. And he's like, you need a sleeping pad? He's like, I've got 2 in my bag, even though he's not camping tonight. You can't even make this stuff up. So what kind of sleeping pad is it? It's,
I think I bought it years ago, probably on Amazon. So it is a sleeping pad that holds air. That's what it is.
Well, you just saved my night for tonight because they keep wanting to camp. So.
Well, yeah, I mean that's the whole. I want to make you miserable, so I figured if I can help you.
Well, actually, this is not my plan. My plan was to have to go to a hotel. So now I'm screwed.
On purpose.
Yeah. Now.
Chasing Ben here on the 790. My Gaia app. It's something with my Gaia app through this tablet and my phone. Something between all that is kind of messed up, and when it doesn't have internet, it doesn't want to load right, even though I've got all the maps downloaded. Like I don't know. So we'll have a deeper discussion about kind of navigation stuff later. But we're on kind of this broken pavement, kind of gravel pothole, kind of a road outside of Big Meadow Campground, and headed over towards French Meadow Reservoir. And then we're gonna finish up section 4. Roll through Truckee, and then we're going to get to we know we're going to get at least to Graygle to complete section 5, but I don't know if we're going to get past that today, so I guess we'll see. But now that I've got an air mattress, that's I cannot believe that Kenneth had an air mattress, 2 air mattresses. That's just insane. He's not even camping. I guess he had it to fill up his panniers because he's taking photos of the panniers or something like that. It's pretty rugged, riding through a lot of loose rocks, and it's like going over this mountain pass, I think. I would still say that it's, big adventure bike friendly, but it's going to be first and second gear, switchbacks, but they're reasonable. A lot of just, softball size rocks, I think would be how I would describe it. So I think it's still, intermediate rider friendly on a big adventure bike. So pretty good. Nice and pretty through the trees. All the shadows kind of make it hard to see some of the rocks and the ruts. And there's a few muddy areas and things like that. So you just kind of pick your way through in second gear. You don't want to smash into a rock and damage your tire or get a flat or bend your rim. Remember, you got to get this bike this bike's got to take me all the way home. So got to be nice to the equipment, and if you need to slow down, you just slow down. But the V-Strom has such great low speed characteristics like that. It just can chug through it. It's almost impossible to stall. This bike is really very, very good for this kind of thing, even though it is big and heavy. Right, so we just came up this here, went over this mountain, and now we're making our way. Now we're on to Soda Springs Road, which is that way, and then we'll head up here towards Freeway 80, and there's Truckee there. So we're like, I don't know, maybe 15 miles or something to get out to the highway here and to end section 4 near Truckee. My favorite bike, Kenneth owns my favorite bike, so he's a smart. He's a smart man.
Doesn't that mean you hate it if you sell a bike?
Yes, I sold it. Yeah, no.
These aren't bad though. I rode one of these 800 DEs, and it's
not bad.
It's a shockingly good bike. I'm impressed with it.
It's actually really capable.
Suspension soaks up all the small stuff real well.
Yeah.
Boy, Ben is really in a hurry today.
You're the one that wants to get home a day early.
Are just finishing up section 4. It's about 11 in the morning, so that's pretty good. It's been fun riding with our friend Kenneth. Took some photos of us going through some of the trail. And yeah, we're just rolling in a truckie. We're gonna grab some sandwiches, maybe, you know, pack them to go, kind of eat out on the trail, I guess, or whatever when we get hungry. We need to resupply gas and snacks and things like that, but overall everything's, you know, going pretty well. So we were out of cell phone reception last night, and you just don't realize how dependent we are nowadays on our cell phones to communicate and navigate and do everything. And then when you don't have service for 12 hours, it just really yeah, we just don't know how reliant we are on those things.
Yeah, they got photos from the spring after where they camped out, and there's these tree stumps that are cut like 15 foot up because that's how deep the snow was.
Snow was bad, huh?
So that's Donner Lake here, and this is the Donner Pass area. Tons of interesting history here. So what's going on down here with these tunnels? What's that?
It's the old train snow shed. So
Oh.
It's supposed to protect them from avalanches, but they closed that section of track. The track now runs north of this mountain here. They shut that down years ago, and people hike through it. There's a lot of bats up in there. You can technically ride motorcycles through them. You're not supposed to, but sometimes people do. It's a nice little spot, though.
Well,
a lot
beautiful
of rock
spot.
climbing up here on the side. You'll see, especially as we come down, you'll see people going up these rock faces.
So this shows us kind of what we're looking at, the different points. Probably hard to see on the camera.
That you can see somebody up on that rock face there in white.
Oh yeah. Here's this talks about the history. There's a lot of history in this area. A lot of really fascinating history. Some good, some bad.
Some makes you slightly peckish. A little
Well,
hungry.
thankfully we got the sandwiches, so we didn't have to have the same
So we
problem.
didn't have to like resort to human flesh.
When you're traveling on the BDR through this area, you definitely want to take some time to check out the historically significant signs and historical markers in this area. Donner Pass is a 7,000 foot high mountain pass in the northern Sierras, resting above Donner Lake and Donner Memorial State Park and about 9 miles west of Truckee. The pass has a steep approach from the east and a gradual approach from the west. The pass has a lot of history. It's been used by the California Trail, the first Transcontinental Railroad, the Overland Route, the Lincoln Highway, the Victory Highway, both later US Route 40 and then later Donner Pass Road, as well as indirectly to the north by Interstate 80. The pass gets its name from the ill-fated Donner Party who overwintered there in 1846. Today, the area has a lot of recreation with alpine lakes and ski resorts, and permanent communities include Kingvale and Soda Springs. So the history, you know, to reach California from the east, pioneers had to get their wagons over the Sierras. In 1844, the Stevens-Townsend-Murphy Party followed the Truckee River into the mountains. At the head of what is now called Donner Lake, they found a low notch in the mountains and became the first overland settlers to use the pass. The pass was named after a later group of California-bound settlers. In early November 1846, the Donner Party found the route blocked by snow and was forced to spend the winter on the east side of the mountains. Out of the 81 original settlers, only 45 survived to reach California, some of them resorting to cannibalism to survive.
But Donner Lake is a beautiful, beautiful, mountain lake. Tons of recreation, boating, fishing. I see people stand up paddleboarding, all the cool stuff that you want to do at a lake. Really beautiful spot. Very, very nice area. So the route will take us kind of through Truckee, and then the section that goes up to around like Verde Peak, just out of Truckee, they just had a fire in that area, so there's some closures there. So Kenneth is going to give us an alternate route around through there as we head up towards Sierraville, and then make our way over on more dirt roads over towards Downeyville. And then we have some more riding after Downeyville, and our target tonight is the town of Graegle, G-R-A-E-G-L-E. I don't know how you quite say it. And so hopefully we'll end up there for the night. right, so we're on the route, and this is Jackson Meadows Reservoir right here. Very, very pretty reservoir. Beautiful. Very, very beautiful spot. This is on the route. So this is before you get to Downeyville and after you leave like Weber Falls, that area. I'm just filming the lake, getting a shot. Yeah.
You're coming up here, right?
I don't know.
I'm sure they turned off the Weber Lake.
Weber? No, I think they're ahead of us. They're staying on the route.
Yeah, so are we.
It always pays off to really look at your maps when you're riding something like the BDRs. Don't just stay on the route and follow your GPS. Look at your map. So just outside of Weber Lake, before you get to there, you see a little turnoff for Weber Falls. And this is the kind of place that you're really only going to find if either one, a local takes you there, like in our case, or two, you really study your maps and look at the terrain, look at the geography, look at the places you're going, and try to find the cool little out-of-the-way places that most people traveling the route are going to miss out on. You can just imagine swimming in these swimming holes on a hot summer afternoon. What a beautiful little spot. What's the name of this lake?
I forget the name of it. It's one of the headwaters leading up to Jackson Meadows.
We're at Lake XY. We don't know the name, but beautiful spot.
Useless,
you know, get refreshed. It's just really nice to get some cold water, clean the dust off your face, wash your hair. Oh man, that's so refreshing.
Milton Reservoir.
I started this pattern years ago with Jeff. Now he started to do it. You just see a lake or something, you're kind of hot, you just stop and kind of just get cleaned up a little bit. It's really nice. Beautiful spot.
Milton Reservoir.
Milton Reservoir. Thank you. The trusty V-Strom here. She's a heavy girl, but she is sturdy. She is a sturdy girl. All right, so we are beginning some sort of like a really, I guess it's like a really steep descent into Downeyville. So we're going to drop 2,600 vertical feet in just a few miles. So it's kind of notorious, I guess. But it should be fine. We'll just watch our speed, use our engine braking. This is the first time on the entire route that I've actually decided to turn the ABS off to the back wheel. This bike has off-road ABS, and I've been using that. I've never turned it off this entire trip. I've also never turned off the traction control. It's on gravel mode, and I love it. It works extremely well. But I decided, because this is supposed to be some like super steep hill, that I don't really want to have ABS, you know, intervening at the worst moments. So I went ahead and turned that off. So we'll see if it's as steep as everybody says it is. But it's about 3 o'clock. So we're gonna drop into Downeyville and then try to get over one more little hill into Gragel for the night. And I am gonna get a hotel. I think Ben wants a hotel. I don't know if Jeff's gonna do that, but yeah, it's a steep road. Probably like a 20% gradient. I don't know. It looks like a lot of people skid their tires right here. You can see a lot of skid marks. Might get skid marks on your underwear too if you get going too fast down this thing. So this is called Old Galloway. Looks like Old Galloway Ridge is what this road is called. Yeah, she's steep, but it's that's a little sandy there. See, people have torn up the trail, so maybe it's a little bit loose. I like to leave my front ABS on. I never turn it off because you just trust that front ABS. Like, see, I can brake a lot with the front brake. You got to learn to be able to use your front brake if you're going to ride motorcycles. Boy, I can see through the trees down into the valley. Man, this is a long way to go down. Valley's like way down in there. All right, well, survived the crazy steep grade, and now we're into Downeyville. Downeyville is known for a lot of its mountain biking, very famous for mountain biking and other cycling events in this town. Cool little like one-lane bridges. River runs through town. That's beautiful.
On Section 5 of the Northern California BDR lies one of the most dramatic and most well-known viewpoints and sidetrack adventures on the entire BDR route, which is the Sierra Buttes Lookout Tower. Constructed in 1914 with the stairs and the platforms for visitors built in 1964, this fire tower is now abandoned by the Forest Service, but is still often visited by hikers, dirt bike riders, and side-by-sides to this day. Now, on Section 5, you will have the option to take the expert section up to the top of Sierra Buttes Lookout. I've been told that the last maybe half mile of the trail to the parking area near the lookout is very, very treacherous and difficult, although I have seen large adventure bikes been able to reach that spot below the fire lookout tower, but definitely go at your own risk. We chose not to take this trail due to the rated difficulty of that trail. However, looking at some of the photos, I somewhat regret that we did not at least try to get up to the top.
If you're an advanced rider or you're on a smaller bike without a bunch of gear, do the Sierra Buttes Lookout. It looks to be a really, really cool spot to check out. So it's 5 p.m., pretty late in the day. We are still going to, our plan is to get into Graygle tonight, so I think we'll be there by 6 or 6:30, but we're going to hotel, so we're not worried about setting up camp, so we're doing fine. But I think after 5 p.m. everybody gets a little bit weary and starts to get kind of shadowy, and you just feel like you've already had a day. But this is quite a steep hill. I'm glad this is paved. All right, we're almost at the end of our day here, just riding alongside my friend Jeff, about 10 miles or so from the town of Graygle, where we're going to get a cabin or rooms or something just after camping for a couple days. We're all kind of gross, and I haven't really slept properly for 2 nights, which has been hard for me. So yeah, we're going to get some nice hotel rooms. A lot of the NorCal route is just like what you're seeing here. It's going to be just your basic kind of dirt forest road, logging road kind of thing. Kind of rocky. You've got some bumps and ruts and things to look out for. They're like second gear roads, a lot of it. So pretty much all big bike friendly stuff. And Jeff on the Moto Morini there, which is really not a ground up design adventure bike. It's really, they took a Versa 650 and just gussied it up a bit. He's had no issues this whole trip, so that just goes to show you don't need a super high performance off-road bike to do something like this. As for the V-Strom is still just a steady flyer. She is just very easy, comfortable, too soft though. Like, I bottom out like probably a couple hundred times every day. Like, I'm not joking, it's that bad. Like, it just bottoms and bottoms out. It just can't handle even the weight of the panniers. So that is kind of an issue. But beyond the soft suspension, that's really the only complaint I've had on this trip, because it hasn't been hot, so the engine heat has not been a big deal. So really just the soft suspension, I think, has been my only real complaint with the bike. Just a lot of loose, kind of jagged rocks. So you try to pick a line and not hit the bigger rocks, because it really deflects your tire. Plus, you don't want to cut your tire, One thing that I think has been key for us on this trip is that none of us air our tires down. We don't do that because then you're just asking for problems with bending a rim or getting a pinch flat. Like for me, I have tubes, so we don't air down. We just leave it full pressure on the tires, and we just have much less problems that way.
All right, the end of day 3. So man, we are pretty tired. So we finished sections 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5. So we're here in Gray Eagle for the night at a really cute little motel. We had a nice dinner, pretty bougie dinner, honestly, which was nice. And now we're just trying to get, cleaned up, organized, and ready to finish sections 6 through 9, or Are there 9 or 10 sections? I think there's like 9. So I think we only have about 400 miles left on the route. So I think we can do that in about 2.5 days of riding. Yeah, probably something around that. So that's great. Let me show you a little bit of kind of what happens when you're on a trip like this and you end up in a motel room. It's a nice time to get reorganized, get all your stuff charged. Like thankfully I have 2 beds, because here's all my junk kind of getting organized and cleaned up and whatever, and then keeping all the stuff charged. So like I brought this for when I'm staying in a hotel. I have this charger that has 6 USB chargers on it, so I can plug in, because I've got to keep the drone batteries charged. This is my power bank, which I use for charging when we're camping. I've got the ham radio, which we're using. Got to charge that battery. I've got 2 action cams. I've got my phone, and I've also got this camera I'm filming on right now. And I think there's some other stuff, but I can't remember. So there's like 6 or 7 things that I have to try to keep charged. And then it's just getting things kind of clean and organized. And there's definitely things that I haven't been using on the trip. Like I haven't been using this water canteen. I have been using the mini cooler. It's been nice to carry drinks and sandwiches and stuff like that. Haven't used the rain gear, but you're not going to ride without rain gear. But most of the stuff that I guess I've been using most of it.
All right, we're starting section 6 of the Northern California BDR. We just left the town of Gray Eagle, and we are headed today to complete section 6 and maybe the first half of section 7. We're not really sure. And so far, we're on kind of these kind of logging roads, forest roads, which is kind of typical in this part of California. And, we were talking to some of the locals, like at the general store and the little motel we stayed at. It's always good to kind of try to talk a little bit, learn a little bit about where you are. And, one of the things they were saying was that the Gray Eagle and towns in this area, they have seasonal populations due to summer tourism. There's golf courses, there's hiking, there's biking, there's all sorts of things. So the summer population could be 5 or 10 times what the winter population is, which is a huge difference. And also they were talking about, the local economy seems like it's been doing a little bit better lately, because the logging companies, the lumber and logging industry has been able to sort of come back a little bit after somewhat of a downturn. They were talking about, how everything needs wood, everything needs lumber, and it's got to come from somewhere. And that industry creates a ton of jobs and a ton of economic activity. When you live in a small town like this, there's not really a whole lot of jobs or industries. So something like logging can make or break these small towns. Now, logging can be, somewhat controversial, I guess, but I think the modern day understanding is coming around to, it's like, look, there are modern and more responsible ways of logging forests, especially these unnaturally overly grown and overdense forests that we have here in the American West, that because of overactive fire suppression and not letting natural fires happen, that they've become overgrown and sick. And you can just look out here and see how dense the trees are to an unnatural level. So actually logging can, as strange as it sounds, help restore the balance of the natural ecosystem, even though that sounds counterintuitive. And the modern day logging practices are not the clear-cut logging that we had, at the end of the 20th century, or, what am I trying to say? Like, 100 years ago. They're not those kinds of practices. This trail is pretty rugged and kind of torn up, just loose rocks and just real bumpy. So gonna have to be on your toes here. And as we've gone along the route, I've been joking a lot about, why can't we just take that beautiful paved road over there? And I think I am a little bit more somebody who prefers to ride a little bit more pavement, whereas I think Ben is definitely in the camp of, let's stay on dirt as much as we can, which I have nothing against that. Like, and I respect what people want to do, but I don't relate to it. Like, I don't understand it. Like, to me, dirt is not somehow better than pavement or road riding. In fact, I think I enjoy pavement riding and street riding more, just because it's smoother and I can relax and kind of enjoy the scenery and not just bang myself over rocks all day and sand like I'm doing right now. But the backcountry discovery routes, that's literally what they're called. They're supposed to get you into the backcountry on, unpaved roads. That's the whole point of the route. So obviously that's what they're going to do. It's for people who want to ride in the dirt. As for myself, I like to do touring, and I like to get somewhere, and I like to take paved roads when they're nice paved roads, as opposed to just taking dirt just for the sake of taking dirt. Like this route right now that we're on honestly makes zero sense to me, if I'm being honest. Like, why are we here? Because there's nothing to see right here. The highway, you can see more from the highway, and it just seems like we're just going off road just for no real reason. So that's just my honest kind of how I feel about it. So I don't know, that's just kind of my thoughts right now, but it's a philosophical difference. It's not right or wrong, and it's just a matter of preference. So we got to ride with our friend Kenneth yesterday, and at the end of the day, he kind of remarked, "Oh, you're kind of riding at a conservative pace." And I was just chuckling. I'm like, well, yes, because number one, this bike has to complete the route and get me all the way home without braking. Number two, it's not my motorcycle. And number three, the suspension is too soft. Like, if I ride any faster than this, I will just blow through the suspension, bottom out, metal on metal, big crash, huge problem. So because the springs are so unbelievably soft and undersprung that if you try to ride anything more than like a slow pace off-road, it just totally bottoms out and you'll lose control. So you have to ride slow on this bike. It's a nice bike to ride. Like, it's super comfortable and stable. It's just, you just can't go fast at all. Version 6 so far, I would say, has the longest stretch of sort of rugged, pretty rocky, rough terrain. Not like technical, but I would say intermediate on a big adventure bike. There's been a lot of silt, like that really fine powdery sand, and a lot of silty ruts and just things that just kind of catch you out. And now we've kind of entered this large area of burned forest. I'll have to put this here in the text or put a photo. I'm not sure what fire this was exactly. I don't know if we're in the Dixie fire scar right now. We might be, or if it was one of the other ones, but I would say this was in the past 10 years based on how this looks. So there's a lot of the down branches and things like that. And you see a lot of the regrowth coming up from the forest floor, the shrubs, the smaller trees, the smaller growth. So you can see that there's things starting to regrow. But the timber, the big conifer trees, those take a much longer, those are on a much longer life cycle period, even maybe greater than the average human lifespan. So that's the thing, that's the error that we always make, right? Because we look at things on a human time scale of, let's say, 75 years or something, and say that, oh my gosh, there's such a disaster, things have changed so badly. But 75 years is completely an irrelevant time period on a geologic time scale, right? The Earth is 4.5 billion years old. These forests have been here for millions of years through ice ages and warm periods and fires and floods and glaciers and all sorts of things. So if you look at a longer time scale, you realize that it's it's just things. I'm not saying that the changes don't matter, because they do, because they affect us. We just think of everything in our terms, right? Not on nature's terms. So it's something I think about a lot,
So behind me is a pile of logs, and so there's a type of logging they call like salvage logging, and what this is that after a large forest fire comes through, which obviously did happen here, there's still some economic value to come in and log some of this stuff out, because you can still salvage a lot of the lumber. You notice the trees, the trunks of the trees, the limbs and the leaves of the trees, or the needles, are, you know, incinerated by the fire, but then the trunks are still remaining. So there's still enough economic value in trying to salvage log some of this out. So you can see these big stacks behind me. You know, they're always weighing the cost of getting the trucks and the equipment out here to do that versus what they can gain by selling that kind of lumber and the quality of it, and a lot of stuff goes into it. But these kinds of operations have been a part of the story of the American West, you know, for the last 150 plus years. It's just because lumber is, wood is something that is needed worldwide to build almost everything.
On this section of the BDR, be sure to make the short side trip up to Argentine Rock Fire Lookout Tower. Constructed in 1934, this lookout was active with the Forest Service until about 1980. Recently, this lookout has succumbed to the effects of the wind and the weather and the snow and the sun, and really needs restoration. Now, there is a group called the Forest Fire Lookout Association, which is a nonprofit group that goes around and restores lookouts in different areas. This group does have a chapter in this local area and is making efforts to perhaps restore this lookout. These lookouts are, in present times, really run and staffed and worked on by volunteers, not by paid staff anymore.
A 3-mile detour to go up to Ho Mountain Lookout as I use my traction control to go up this very steep road with a lot of washboards. So this is going to be the Ho Mountain Lookout, just off the route. It is marked as a little detour, so let's go check this out, fly the drone up here.
When you're riding this section, also make sure to take the short detour up to the Mount Ho Fire Lookout Tower. Constructed in 1911 and perched at an elevation of 7,200 feet, the building was replaced again due to weathering in 1986. Now, this lookout tower, as opposed to some of the other ones we visited on this trip, is still active today during the summers and staffed mostly by volunteers. The reason for these lookout towers, especially if you're not that familiar with the American West and the fires we have, is that when thunderstorms come through in the summer with the lightning, they spark a lot of small fires, and the lookouts have historically been significant in detecting these fires early so they can be put out before they get large. In today's modern world of airplanes and cell phones and people out in the backcountry and increasing population, the fire lookout towers are simply not as relevant as they were in the past, and sadly, many of these are going to pass and be forgotten to history as their usefulness is declining.
So if you're riding the BDR, you have to come to Taylorsville. You'll go through that on the route in Section 6 and go to Young's Market in Taylorsville. Best sandwiches and burgers you will have on this whole trip. A great selection of drinks. The milkshake, best I ever had in my life. Seriously. How was the lunch in Taylorsville?
That was an amazing burger. Like, definitely stop here if you're on the route.
Oh, so good, thank you. All right, back on Section 6 between Taylorsville and Chester. You're going to run across this. This is Round Valley Reservoir. The reservoir looks a little low, but hard to tell. But there are some recreational opportunities here for people who want to do stuff on lakes. It's a kind of a narrow one-lane road, and there are some people who kind of live around here or recreate around here, so be mindful of that oncoming traffic. And if you ever see houses, just slow down to 20 miles an hour. Don't speed through areas that people live. You know, this is their the place where they live and their kids play and stuff. So just be mindful of that. All right, we're at the North Fork of the Feather River near the old community, the old mining community of Seneca. The river's very loud, so I probably won't talk very much, but beautiful spot to cool off. Part of section 6. Very, very long day, 95% in the dirt, section 6, 125 miles, and we're still 10 miles from where we're going to try to camp. So section 6 planned probably most of the day to do that. We all just kind of talked about it and agreed that was pretty monotonous and kind of pointless just to go through the burned out forest, through gravel roads that just twist around aimlessly for hours and hours, and you don't even end up going anywhere. So, not to be negative at all, like, you know, but that section of the route doesn't seem to make much sense to us. I guess the first half where we had the fire lookouts, that's kind of cool, but after that, I mean, I would not recommend people really do that. I just don't think it's a scenic or enjoyable route. And there's really nothing to see, and it's just sort of, I don't know what the point of being there was. So anyway, we're going to roll into Chester here around Lake Almanor. This is Lake Almanor here, a large lake here in Northern California. Find a place to stay for the night, get some food, and we'll be in a lot better spirits once we kind of clean up, get some cold drinks, and you know, relax a little bit. It's just a very long day. It's 5 o'clock already, and we started at 8:30 this morning, so.
But you're talking, oh God, what's the one you're talking about? I know what you're talking about.
Yeah, they're
like something camper.
Yeah.
It's literally in the name.
Yeah, it is. I geeked out on all those for like a week.
Contained, I assume.
Yeah, they maintain the shit out of those things. But then she re-rents them out during the summertime in San Diego.
Oh. It's clearly the worst part about making coffee is you have to do it before you've had any coffee.
Right.
All right, what day 5 of the BDR, day 6 of my ride. It's now what, Tuesday? Tuesday morning, and we are going to ride. We finished section 6, so today we're going to do 7 and 8. Hopefully, I think so, you know, or part of 8, and then we have about a day and a half left on the route. So we should be able to wrap this up in, yeah, about a day and a half of riding. Or we just bonsai and get there tonight at like 7 p.m. or 8 p.m. and then stay in Alturas at the Ritz-Carlton called Pullen and Ian.
I still haven't seen the Ritz-Carlton, bro.
The Ritz-Carlton was at Donner or Tahoe or something. Okay. But yeah, I slept pretty well considering I had an actual air mattress that held air last night. Yeah, everything's actually going pretty good. I fell out of my chair this morning. I think Ben maybe got some of that on camera. No, my leg wasn't in my chair, so I sat in the chair. And it just completely went rolling down the hill. Coffee spilled all over my pants. Now I'm going to try it again. Okay. Chair works now.
That wasn't as funny.
No, don't kick it out. I will say the view of the lake and the birds is pretty, but this campground was absolutely horrible, just for a lot of reasons. Do not recommend North Shore Campground at Lake Almanor. Do not stay here. All right, we're on the track for section 7 outside of Chester. After a short highway jaunt, we're back on gravel roads. Pretty nice open gravel roads with nice mountain meadow views and stuff. I like this a lot better. This was already much better than yesterday, which almost felt like, you ever had like a bad dream where you're trying to run and you can't run and you're just staying in place, and it's kind of like this, you just feel hopeless? It's kind of almost how yesterday's ride felt like. Just roads that were almost felt like I was going in circles and never getting anywhere. I hit this like silt bed, so I put on my hazards and slowed down so that they wouldn't hit this. You almost couldn't see it in the shadows, so I didn't want to hit it at like high speed. I didn't want Ben to come up behind me at 60 miles an hour and have a crash if you hit that unexpectedly. It's kind of weird to see that on just a gravel road like this, all of a sudden come up on a silt bed. That was very strange. It just shows that you just can't let your guard down and relax, because the second you relax, boom, there's something that could just end your ride, you know? So I roll up on these guys and I just see Ben's bike just parked on the ground there. Is that your new parking method?
I told you I just gotta check out my skid plate. I wanted to see if there's any scratches on it. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Let me help. I was just taking a photo, which I know is... Here, let me put my glove on here. I smell gas. Your bike always leaks gas, by the way.
Oh, cool. Well,
It pours gas out. Look, it's pouring gas. Okay. Thirds of the way through section 7. The lookout, this is Harvey Mountain, this little track here, but that's closed. We just try to go up there. Jeff got behind really far, so I had to go back and look for him. His GPS wire got pinched and like failed or came off or whatever, so he had no navigation, so he had to tear his bike apart to try to fix that. And then so I finally found him, got him headed back the right way. Ben's waiting up there. And in other news, my rear shock, I feel like my rear shock has failed. Like there's no damping left, so it's just, I'm riding on a spring now, so it's just extremely bouncy and jittery, and I've got no damping. So I think it slowly happened over the last like 25 miles. I noticed it started to bottom out even more than it was, and then on the rough parts of the trail, the bike was just skipping and chattering over everything. Like the whole bike is just shaking horrible. And what I've realized is I just don't have any damping left. So something internally to the shock, I believe, has given out. I've had this happen many times before on other motorcycles. I seem to be really hard on suspension, so I've had failed shocks many times on trips like this, and this is what happens. You just lose your damping and you just end up riding on a spring. So we'll kind of see how that plays out, but it's difficult to maintain the traction, especially since the trail is nothing but just loose rock. You know, it's not like just like good gravel road or something. So we'll see how that goes, but you know, it's not the worst problem you could have. I'm still able to ride the motorcycle. It's not like I'm stranded or something. It's just a very rough ride and kind of hard to control the bike a little bit. So anyway, that's the status. All right, we are at what is this? Antelope
mountain lookout. There's kind of a really nice looking fire lookout tower here. And then behind me here in the distance, the mountains, you'll start to see volcanoes. I mean, dormant volcanoes. So we've got Lassen Peak and Lassen National Park, which is a really cool place, which is not far from here. And actually behind me this way, which I'll show you here in a second, is Mount Shasta way in the distance. So we're starting to get into that volcanic area where you eventually start to get into like the Cascades and, you know, more of the volcanoes as you go up through Oregon and Washington. So we start to see that. And then we've got Eagle Lake behind me here this direction. So we're about a third of the way through section 7. Really definitely make the little like 2 mile side trip up to Antelope Mountain if you're here. Yeah, so over there is Lassen National Park, and I think probably Lassen Peak. You can see how it looks like a volcano. And then probably not going to be able to see it on the camera, but there is Mount Shasta, way in the distance.
I think what happened is something internally, some internal seal or something in the shock got overheated or overworked and just gave up. Or I guess it's possible that the shock is just overheated and maybe it'll cool down, but I actually didn't get this on camera, but I went off the road and blew through a corner because you've got this like washboard, and I didn't realize, like, okay, my rear shock is blown, I'm gonna have poor traction. So I went to do the brakes like I normally would coming into the corner, and I just went off the other side of the corner because the rear tire is just skipping over the road. It just won't get traction. So anyway, you just gotta be you know, be ready for stuff like this. I mean, number one, expect that something's going to break when you do this kind of riding, and so you won't get torqued out when it does in fact happen. And then I think number two, you know, be ready to adjust your riding or your trip when something does happen. And that's just the reality. This has kind of happened to me so many times on different trips over the years, and I've just kind of learned to roll with it. But I do need to adjust my riding style and speed according to what's going wrong with the bike. So and yeah, ultimately it's your responsibility to ride within the limitations of the motorcycle. So if you crash, it's your fault, right? Don't ever blame the bike. It's your fault if you crash because you went beyond the traction or whatever it is. So take responsibility is all I'm saying. Yeah, I went through a corner because I went off a corner because well, because I had no traction on the brakes. I forgot because the rear's just, and I just went off, but I was okay. I didn't crash. All right, so we're in Bieber and finished that section 7, and we're all pretty burnt and dusted right now. It's like 3 p.m. I think, and my rear shock is definitely blown like 80% at least. It's just the rear is just bouncing, bounce. So that's kind of hard to ride that way, but I'm trying to decide whether I should try to finish the route or not. We have about 160 miles left of the route. And then Jeff over here, well, I'll show you, he's got 2 punctures in his rear tire on the Moto Morini, and he's having a hard time getting them fixed.
You want me to tell you how to get out there?
Yeah, please.
Okay, so go down this road, you go down A2, take the first road on the right, about 1.5 miles down on the right, follow the power line, go all the way down, and you'll see that detour where it says 5 ton or less.
It's still leaking, okay.
But I have 27 pounds in there, so I mean, can you hear anything?
No, but there's noise over here, so I can't really tell. Yeah.
So right here at the end of the loop. Right here?
Yeah, it's still leaking. Yeah. It's still leaking because I can put my finger on it. See?
God damn, I got 2 patches in there.
Put a ton of slime in it, and we put a bunch of plugs in it, but I think it's still leaking, and it's just a very hard thing to deal with. To go into the backcountry with a tire, you know, is not holding air. Yet here we are. and my rear shock is pretty much blown out, but that's not as bad as the tire problem, so I'm gonna stop complaining about that. We're on some pretty scenic gravel roads here though, through these mountains outside of Bieber. Actually, one of the nicest rides we've had in a day or two, honestly. It's pretty scenic, peaceful, and the road's in good condition. So we supplied up water and snacks, food stuff, because we might camp. Well, it looks like we are camping tonight at a place that doesn't have drinking water. And this will be our last night of camping on the trip. Tomorrow we can easily finish the route. If Jeff and I are even able to. I don't know what's going to happen with this tire, and I don't know kind of how my shock is going to be doing, so we'll see, but we're pretty close to the finish line at this point. So, you know, adventure riding has its ups and downs, and this kind of riding, I mean, if you think about it, you know, a dual sport ride, you take your dual sport out for a ride for a day, maybe you ride, a long ride would be 100 miles on a dual sport ride for a day, right? And then you get back to your truck or whatever, your camper, whatever it is. You know, we're riding 100 to 200 miles per day on a 500-600 pound bike, day after day after day, you know, pushing it through this terrain. And it's hard on equipment, you know, it definitely is. So just plan for bad things to happen, because they always will. Now this right here, this has got to be one of the best moments I've had on the route. This is my kind of riding. Huge, beautiful valley for the views. Sun's low in the sky. You can look at the cows grazing the fields. Just a super peaceful, beautiful moment that I'll probably remember for a while. So, you know, sometimes you have to ride for days to find one good moment. I think that's how motorcycle riding can be. It's like, it's mostly bad, but there are a few good moments. At least maybe that's just my view of it. But all right, good morning from day, I don't know, I think this is my 7th day on the road, and this is what, maybe day 6 on the BDR. So we are about a third of the way through section 8 after leaving Bieber yesterday, and we camped here at the beautiful Willow Creek campground. And I was able to take a bath in a creek. That was awesome. Just, man, just clean off after riding in the dirt all day. It was really, really nice. You guys know how I feel about showers and hygiene. And this is the last night on the route, the last night camping, and we'll be able to... The thing is, I'm not sure if I'm going to totally finish the last section because I need to get home pretty soon for stuff at home. Ben is definitely going to finish. Jeff, maybe, because of his tire. My shock is still not working right, but I can get through. It's just not that much fun. But yeah, if you're on the route, Willow Creek Campground is just off the route in section 8. Pretty nice. All right, give me a status report from section 8 of the BDR.
Ready to be done. I think hopefully we keep hearing it's going to go faster.
Here's the status right here.
Yeah.
Oh, that looks lovely. What the hell is that?
That's about as slow as my leak.
Jesus.
Are you going to use your tire?
Are you going to use that to patch your tire?
I should.
Okay, so ready to be done. You're going to finish today. We might all finish today. We don't know.
One way or the other.
Some of us are going to finish.
Yeah, hopefully. Well, unless we all have a catastrophic.
Ben will, because he's a
breakdown.
trooper. But Ben's also going the right direction to get home.
Right.
So.
Yeah. Every mile gets me closer to home.
Yeah, we are not. So I still have 700 miles to ride home. But
yeah. I only have 5 hours when we get done.
Yeah. So we're using up the last of our camp food, and this is. You know, I'm actually about to get ready to throw my sleeping bag in the trash because it's all ruined and I need a new one anyway because it's probably like 10 years old and it's just not working right. So
This old guy just caravanning. That's funny. Best friends, touring the country.
But this is how the camp table usually...
Separate Arby's because we're not gay.
Just ignore Ben's commentary. This is how the camp table usually looks. You know, there's a pile of something that looks like dog excrement. There's random stuff everywhere. Jeff's spraying something in the pan.
So I can wash it.
Yeah, we've all got little collapsible cups
with the coffee. Ben always puts his handle in his coffee, so his handle is
Every time
always,
this thing is
he just
thoroughly-
leaves that in there.
What's your handle?
My breakfast is a beef jerky with a cold tortilla and some crackers. I had some graham crackers. So I had chili. I bought this chili, but I just don't feel, my stomach doesn't feel like eating chili right now. So
the V-Strom, you know, man, even with a slightly messed up rear shock, it just goes on and on. You just can't kill a V-Strom, you know. It may be injured. She may be injured, but she is not dead. She will get us through. She will get you home. That's why you have a Japanese motorcycle, because they will get you home even if they're not running totally right. So some pretty fast gravel this morning. I actually don't mind this track. This is not bad. Came over a mountain up there, and now we're somewhere on the route between Bieber and Alturas. I think I'll call it when I get to Alturas, which is the end of section 8. That way I'm only missing that last 75-mile little section north of Alturas, which just kind of goes nowhere up to the Oregon border, and then you have to backtrack, so I don't really want to do that. So at least I'll have finished sections 1 through 8. And if I had my own bike to put a sticker on, at least I could probably justify putting on the sticker, you know? So anyway, we'll have to see about Jeff's tire, though. It leaked a lot of air overnight, and it's still, his tire is still... Oh, they're calling me on the radio. Hold up.
how's the view, Mr. Dork in the road?
Oh man, it's much better from up here. Now that you're up here.
Ooh-wee.
Hey. Pretty good. Although it's funny because we've seen so many amazing lookouts. This one is like, if we'd come here first, this would have been spectacular. But compared to all the others, it's kind of like, it's pretty nice.
Well, you can see Mount Shasta, though.
Yeah, well,
It's a little,
weather system.
it's a little windy today.
Yeah, it's good. It keeps the dust out of our faces.
So we're at Mammoth. Sorry. Not Mammoth Mountain. Come on.
We started there.
We started at Mammoth.
Yeah.
Manzanita Lookout. And we have some people on the radio.
Yeah.
Manzanita Lookout. And Alturas is somewhere behind me here in this valley. And that'll be the end of section 8, which will probably be the end of my BDR ride. Of course, I have 700 miles to ride home. You know, there is that.
Ben has got another 80 miles to finish as he gets back into Oregon on the last little section. And then Jeff, I don't know what Jeff's gonna do. I gotta ask here when you need to get gas and see. But I'm fulfilled. Like, I feel like, you know, I got what I wanted out of the trip. I tested the bike really well, made some great memories and adventures with good friends, and I'm feeling really positive. Yeah, so now I just got to ride 700 miles home.
As I rode the 700 miles, or about 1,400 kilometers to get back home to Southern California, I was really reflecting on all the things that I'm so grateful for. First of all, I'm thankful to my friends, Jeff and Ben, for being such great riding companions and putting up with all my baloney. I'm also thankful for my job. I mean, the fact that my job is to ride and test and video and review motorcycles and parts and gear. What an amazing thing. So I really am grateful for that. And I'm grateful to all of you for watching and supporting me as I do this. I'm thankful also to the Backcountry Discovery Route, the BDR organization. They're a nonprofit organization. And with a background in nonprofit management myself, I certainly know how much work that is to keep going. I'm also thankful to Suzuki. So huge shout out to Suzuki for lending me a V-Strom 800DE for 6 months so I'm able to test it and do trips like this. I'm also thankful to all the gear companies who send me parts and riding gear and other things for use on these bikes and for testing and review. I really, really appreciate all my partners out there. So thank you so much. I do have one regret, which is that I didn't do section 9 with Jeff and Ben. They did finish the route and got to the Oregon border. I should have toughed it out the last 90 miles and just added another half day or day to my trip and just gone ahead and done that. But next time I'm up in that area, maybe next spring or summer when I'm riding up to the Northwest for Touratech Rally, I'll try to finish off that section.
Well, good morning. It's Thursday, so yesterday I rode about 350 miles from Alturas to get here to Mammoth Lakes. Very, very windy. Sorry. That's the microwave with my breakfast burrito. So very, very windy. I got here about dark, actually. There was a ton of road construction on Highway 395 coming south, just like it just never ended. It just, every time you get through it, there'd be another one where you had to stop and wait 10, 20 minutes. It just took forever. So I'm going to be home today. I'm going to ride the rest. It's about 350 miles or so for me to get home from here. Boy, that microwave is really annoying. But I stayed at the Juniper Springs Resort. So let me show you. I mean, this place is pretty phenomenal. So after all that complaining about camping, I was like, you know what? I'm going to treat myself and get like a nice resort kind of place with hot tubs and all that kind of stuff. So it has a balcony. You can see here outside, beautiful view of the forest. It's got a fireplace, couch that I guess turns into a bed. It's like a full-on like apartment, basically. You get like, I mean, look at the kitchen. This is nicer than my kitchen in my own house. Like full kitchen, full bathroom with the tub, bedroom. I mean, just, and you can open the windows and get the beautiful mountain air. Man, what a nice treat this is. Super, super nice. So today it's just riding 350 miles on the highway to get back home. I've got stuff going on at home. We're doing a ton of renovations to the property and all the contractors are trying to start. So I really needed to kind of get home. That's why I left the ride about a day early so I could kind of get home on time. Yeah, so we'll finish up this ride and then I'm looking forward to sleeping in my own bed.